Anyway, they're there somewhere. They're out there. They're out there somewhere. Okay, so we're going to talk about the Parashat Shavua, which is Ki Tavo. This is also one of the most important parshiot, which talks about issues of faith and God and all kinds of interesting things and all kinds of crucial issues for Judaism, all kinds of things like this. So number one, I want to tell you, it says like this, right? Hayom hazeh Adonai Elohecha mitzavecha la'asot et hachokim ha'ele ve'et ha'mishpatim v'sham ata la'asot atam b'chol levavecha v'chol nafshecha. First it tells you, right, that this day, this is now the day that Moshe Rabbeinu was supposed to die. Right? This is the day of his expiration, and then the Jews are going to cross over to the land of Israel. This was the program, right? Cross over the Jordan River and go to the land of Israel. So, what does it say, right? Moshe Rabbeinu admonishes them now and tells them that you have to make sure that you keep the rules of the Torah and do them with all your heart and all your soul. Right? What does that mean? Don't just do them like mechanically. Just, okay, out of habit. Oh yeah, I do this, I come to the shul, I pray. You have to have your heart in it also. There's got to be your heart. That's a very important thing, right? With all your heart and all your soul, all your might. That's what it says. So it says, you chose today that Hashem should be your God. The Lord should be your God. You chose Him. What does that mean? You accepted the Torah this day. But they already accepted the Torah on Har Sinai, right? On Mount Sinai. This was way back. 40 years before. So we're going to see over here, right, that there was a reacceptance of the Torah here. It was accepted again by the people, this time with a more it's more sticky, more strong, a stronger acceptance. We're going to see how that is, how that works, right? But it's telling you is that you chose God today, you accepted to come into the covenant of God today, and also because of that, HaKadosh Baruch Hu also chose you as well. You are the chosen people, right? That's exactly what it tells you over here. That if you go in the ways of Hashem, you chose to go in His ways. So He chose you to be the chosen people, His beloved nation, His beloved, right, the people. This is the idea. Right? But what's the idea? Why are you His beloved nation? It's because you keep His mitzvot. This is there, right? To keep the commandments. That's what makes the Jews the beloved people of Hashem. Because all the other nations, they don't want to keep the mitzvot of Hashem. They want to make up their own religions, Go over here, go over there, make up some new things. We don't make up anything new. What we do is, we say, listen, we accept what you say to us, God, and we keep it. That's the idea. So therefore, right now, we chose Him, and in turn, He also chose us to be His beloved people. It says, right, so because of that, you're going to be above all the nations, right? You're going to be number one, the number one nation in the world. The most beloved, right? Also the most successful, right? The one that's more beloved to God, right? And it says, "Asher asal utchila Hashem tiferet u'liyotcha yom kadosh la'Adonai Elohecha kasher diber." But the whole point is, right, that what? You have to be a holy nation. You have to behave like a holy nation, like a chosen people, not just to be in name chosen, just for the sake of having some kind of like prestige. This has to be in practice. You have to be a chosen nation. Right? What does it mean, chosen nation? That you keep the mitzvot, you keep the Torah. That's the idea, right? This is the whole idea. So we're going in now to the Brit, and therefore, in order to strengthen the Brit, the covenant over here, HaKadosh Baruch Hu over here told them to do a certain ceremony. Even though the ceremony was not done now, it was supposed to be done in the future. What does that mean? It tells them like this: "Vayitzav Moshe v'ziknei Yisrael ta'am el Emor, shemor et mitzvot asher anochi metzavecha etchem hayom, v'haya bayom asher ta'avu et hayarden et haaretz, el haaretz asher Adonai Elohecha noten lecha, v'hakimota el avonim gedolot v'samta otam be'ovrecha basid." So it tells you, right, something unbelievable, that the Jewish people were commanded at this point to write the whole Torah on stones, limestone, etch it with engrave into the stones, the whole Torah, from beginning to end, the 5 books of Moses, to everything etched in stone.
The guy stones.
What's the reason why He told them to etch the Torah in stone like that? This was not for the Jews, because the Jews have Sefer Torah. We don't need that. We have a scroll, right? We have a scroll of the Torah. So who is this for? It's for the Goyim.
Oh.
Understand? This was for the goyim.
Was it to make it?
What does that mean? That the goyim should know that we have Torah like this. It's from God, the words of God like this. So therefore, he told them not to etch it in stone in Hebrew, because in Hebrew they don't speak Hebrew, right? That's the idea. So therefore, he told them. What did he tell them? To do all the languages of the world. At that time, there were 70 nations in the world. Right, these are the root nations of all the world, and therefore he told them to write the Torah in 70 languages. Every language. Can you imagine? French, English, Spanish, right? This, that, everything. Every language. Whatever. But he told them to do it every language.
Because that's what the Tower of Babel.
What does that mean? That we want all the goyim to know what is the makeup of the Jewish people, what we're about, that we're the people of God. When a goy reads the Bible, he sees, right, that the Jewish people are the chosen people. That you cannot deny the truth of the Bible. The Bible is very, very explicit. It's very holy. When a person reads it, his neshama, his soul feels that he's connected with God. You get the feeling of that. So there's no mistaking, right? When it comes to that, there's no mistake. So it's telling you like this, right, that we want the goyim. On the one hand, we already said, right, in the earlier lectures, the goy is not allowed to study the oral Torah. Right? The oral Torah, they're not allowed to study. What does that mean? Talmud, Midrash, Halakha, these things they're not allowed to study. But when it comes to Bible, they should learn. They should read the Bible. Just to have a basic idea of what God wants from humanity. So we want all the nations. Kadosh Baruch Hu wanted that all the nations should read the Bible. They should have a clear text of the Bible, and they should know what's the story in this world, right? What's the situation? This is the situation. You know what I mean?
Torah, right?
This is the Torah. Yeah, 5 books of Moses. So they told them to do it. In the Gemara in Masechet Sotah, it says that there was actually 3 sets of these stones that had to be done. Can you imagine? It wasn't one set of 70 languages. It was 3 sets. One was supposed to be put right by the Jordan River where they were crossing over there. And one is supposed to be put in Gilgal, a different place that they're going to stop later on, in Eretz Israel once they cross over. And the third one is supposed to be put on Har Eval, right? Har Gerizim. Those are 2 mountains that exist in Eretz Israel. In the center of the land, over there, they were supposed to go, as we're going to see, and over there recite the curses and blessings for the Jewish people. This is something they're going to do once they get into the land, once they go to that place, that location. So there was 3 sets of stones they had to put. One over here in the Jordan, one by Gilgal, a different place, and also by Har Gerizim. So altogether, 3 sets of stones. That's the idea, right? So we want this to be publicized everywhere, right? In a very open way. There should be no mistakes, right? Don't think, just a coincidence, whatever. We don't know what happened with the Jews. There's no mystery. You open up the Bible, right? Any goy can open up the Bible and see what's written in there.
It's in your language.
Exactly, exactly. Translate to every language. And that's the idea. This is what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted. But on the other hand, though, when it comes to the oral Torah, this is a private possession of the Jewish people. There, the goy has no part in that. He has no portion in that. The oral Torah. That's only for us. Right? That's the idea. Why is that? Because they didn't accept. Right? They didn't accept the Torah. So since they didn't accept the Torah, they only get just an outline of the basic idea of what Torah is. But they don't get all the details, all the little nooks and crannies, all the wisdom, all the depths. They don't get that. When you reject, right? It's like, for instance, like let's say, right, they build a new shul, right? So what happens is that they call you up and they say, you want to be a member of our shul? You want to be a member of a synagogue? And you tell them, no, I'm not going to donate. I'm not a member. I'm not going to come. So they're not going to send you, right? They're not going to send you their newsletter every week, right? Whatever, because you're not a part of the community. That's the idea. That's the same thing over here. You know what I mean? That when you're not a part of the community, you're not a part of the Torah community. You don't accept the Torah, so you don't deserve to learn it. For what to learn it? It's not for everybody. It's for somebody who commits. You have to have a commitment to that. If there's no commitment, you're not a part of it. So too bad. You're out. You're right. You're on the outside. That's the idea.
Can we have 1 foot in and 1 foot out?
As long as you give donation, you're good.
We're going to talk about that now. Wait till you'll see what it says about that. Okay, so it goes on to say, right, further on.
So are you allowed to take a donation? Are you allowed to give a goy a donation?
We talked about that in email, right? We talked about that. So the truth is, that
was that you that said that?
It's both ways, right? You're not allowed to take from them, and also you shouldn't be giving them either. So it comes from both sides.
You mean what the whole thing?
the halacha says, right, that
from who?
a person, a Jew, should not take tzedakah from a goy, unless he has no choice, like it's a matter of life and death or something, whatever, right? He has he's totally, but especially in public, to make like a public, spectacle out of it, he should not take. And also to give also is a problem. What does that mean? He should only give if he's giving to everybody, like handing out in public, because then it'll be like, discrimination, it looks like you're discriminating, right? It doesn't look nice like that, you know what I mean? Oh, they only give to them, they don't give to me, what is this business? So it's going to cause, like a ruckus.
You hand out
$100 So when you give to everybody in public. But when it comes to like private setting, you're not giving to everybody, so then you're not allowed to give. That's something else, right? That's a different story.
Somebody asking you, he doesn't say how you know he's a Jew or he's not.
Well, that's the question that he said. You don't know if you can give it.
I'm sorry. So you're asking,
you shouldn't.
Your question is like this, right? His question is basically...
You're going to find out the way you're not
interested. You will find out. You'll find out.
If I
want to find out who,
then it doesn't matter.
Personality is it.
Then it doesn't matter.
If I understand you correctly, your question is, if somebody comes and asks you for tzedakah, and you don't know he's Jewish, right? So should you give him or not?
Yeah.
So it's a very good question, and the answer is like this: Lichora, right? If you live, let's say, in a city which is goyim, like in New York, there's also a lot of Jews over here. There's millions of Jews in New York, but still the majority is goy, right? Nevertheless, right? So in a city where the majority is a goy, you can assume that person is a goy. If he doesn't identify himself as a Jew, he doesn't have kippah, doesn't have tzitzit, you can't see that he's Jewish, right? So you can assume that he's a goy. Why? Because the majority is goy over there. You know what I mean? That's the idea. But if it's a place where the majority is Jewish over there, so you can assume that he's Jewish. Like if you go to Jerusalem, over there the majority is Jews. That's something else, right? That's a different story, right? It depends on the situation, right? Usually the law of majority works in these cases. We go according to the majority when we're not sure. Who we're dealing with. That's the idea, right? It goes like that. And also, the point is that also another thing, which we discussed before in the earlier lectures, that if somebody comes to you for tzedakah, let's say that he's Jewish, right? For sure you know that he's Jewish, but you don't know if he's legit. Maybe he's a phony, he's a fake, this guy. He's a con artist. There are people like this, right? They go to do tzedakah, they get, by the way, you should know, there are people who get rich from this scam. They collect money, tzedakah, all day in the street. They make like $1,000 a day. They get wealthy, they have bank accounts, with like, a lot of money they've been making for, standing in the street.
You saw the lady in the crutches and then she walked away and she got in the car and drove away.
Yeah, this is a very common thing. You know how it is, right? This is very common. So therefore the halacha says regarding that, if you're not sure if this person is legitimate, even though he's Jewish, so what should you do? Give him a small amount, like $1, 50 cents. So you don't have much to lose. You know what I mean? If he's a phony, you only gave him 50 cents, $1, no big deal, right? Now, if he's not phony, at least you gave him something, right? So you didn't,
Makes a lot of sense. What constitutes
a
person asking for money, a phony or not? I mean, you don't know whether a human being work on that.
That's a very good question. We discussed this before in the earlier lectures. The way it works is like this, right? If the person is himself wealthy, he's not allowed to take tzedakah. What does that mean? That he has like cash money, like in his bank account or under his mattress, somewhere under his pillow, The person has, let's say, just the round number, like let's say he has $10,000, $20,000 cash. He's not allowed to take tzedakah, a person like that. The person is rich. I mean, relatively speaking. Why should you take tzedakah? You have cash you have such a big amount of cash. That's
is dependency on your government also considered tzedakah?
Oh,
Taxes.
This is a very good question.
Taxes.
So
Let's say I have some money to put away to live on.
Yeah.
A couple of years.
Yeah.
And I apply for some benefits.
Right. The truth is, that when it comes to applying for benefits, it's not really called tzedakah exactly in the sense that everybody gets it. You know what I mean? In other words, it's not only you. But the truth is, to be honest with you, a person who doesn't really need it should not take it. If he really is not in need, let's say he gets on welfare, right. And he's faking it. He doesn't really need welfare. He's got a nice income. He wants to have also supplementary, get some welfare, get some food stamps. This is very bad to do such a thing like that. To be honest with you, what they say regarding a person like this? Not only that it's bad what he does, but there's also he's gonna get it for that.
He's gonna get punished.
You know what I'm talking about? You know what they say? That when you take money from the government and you don't really deserve it, or you do deserve it, but the government gives it like very stingy, like a stingy way. In other words, they don't give it with a good heart. they say that what happens is that gives the government power to rule over you, that you took their money. In the end, they'll get you, somehow.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So they say, right, it says in the Talmud, if you want to avoid that the government should rule over you, have any power over you, don't take anything from them. If you don't take anything from them, they can't take anything from you.
Is it called freedom?
You understand? This is the idea.
Is it called freedom?
Whatever you want to call it, call it whatever you want,
What's
We'll
more
bring the
important?
eagles, the eagles,
Let me ask you what's more important
Yeah.
to you? Or
Yeah.
anybody, it
Yeah.
should be for anybody, but you
Yeah.
speak for a lot of people. Life or liberty?
Okay, that's a different discussion. But what I want to tell you, right, regarding this, it's very, very important that a person should know. There was actually one in the Talmud. There's a story like this brought down. You know what it says over there? There was a certain person who was having trouble with the government. You know how it is, right? Uncle Sam, IRS, this and that, right? All kinds of things. This agency, that agency, all kinds of things. They are after you.
Trouble.
So he came to Rabbi, and he told him, he said, Rabbi, he says they're after me, I can't get them off my back. So you know what he told him? He said, you know what? He says, do you take from them something? You also take from them? He says, don't take anything from them. They cannot take anything from you. Stop taking from them also. You know what I mean? It's unbelievable, by the way, to bear out this point, how strong this point is. It says in the Midrash something very powerful. You know what it says? That the reason why the Egyptians were able to rule over the Jews, enslave them, is because the Jews took from them.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
When they left Israel, yeah?
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about before, when they came.
Ah.
Yeah, when they came, this is the reason why they were able to make them slaves. So what was the story? They say, right, that they had some kind of program in Egypt that people get free bread, like you go to, like food stamps, like, coupons, you go to a bakery, you bring them a coupon, he gives you a loaf of bread every day.
A coupon.
They feed in other words, there was like a welfare program they had that they give bread to everybody. Mm-hmm. So they say the Jews used to take advantage of that, and to take that welfare, take the bread, take bread every day, and
When they didn't
whatever. I mean, it doesn't really say,
And sell it somewhere.
So they say that probably they didn't really need it so much, to be honest with you. I mean, Jews don't usually need bread. They're usually not in that. They can make it. You know how it is, right? Jews are usually not in that bad situation. Whatever. But they said, but this was like a government program. Subsidy. Subsidized.
Yeah.
You understand? So, but they say, that the Egyptians were like, evil eye people. What does that mean? They're stingy. So when they saw the Jews were taking from them, they put evil eye on them. And this what gave them the power to rule over the Jews in the end, to enslave them. So you see from there, right, that if a person doesn't want the government on his back, don't take nothing from them, Yeah, don't take. Live your own life, be happy and healthy. You're by yourself.
Sleep good.
Don't take from them nothing, and they can't touch you. Because what gives them the power to touch you is that you take from them also. So now they want to get that back. They want to, you understand? There's no free lunch.
Or embarrass you.
You understand? That's the idea, no free lunch. In the end, you're going to pay, right? You're going to pay for that. Believe me when I tell you. So this, in the Zohar Kadosh, by the way, it says this as a general rule, not only over the government, but don't take anything from anybody who's a stingy person. Right, from people also. Don't take from a stingy person, who's cheap, like, very frugal person, cheapskate, He'll tell you, chame, but he's really looking at you, with the evil eye, look how much he's eating, This guy's taking 2 steaks, I want to give him only 1 steak. He's taking 2. He's giving you that eye, They say that if you take from a person, if you take from a person who's stingy like that with the evil eye, that will cause damage to you in the end. So therefore, right? The Rambam says, by the way, that the pious people of the Jews, the Hasidim, in the old days, they would not eat from anybody's food, only their own. They would not eat anybody's food. Because they don't want that, that eye, from people,
Yeah.
Look how much he ate, So a person has to know everything has consequences. When you take so much, you also have to pay back that.
Yeah.
Nothing is for free in this world. That's the idea,
Correct.
You got the idea. Okay, fine, very good.
Sorry for making a big
No
deal.
problem. No big deal. It's very important, this kind of stuff, actually, to understand this. Okay, whatever. So now, right, comes and tells Moshe Rabbeinu, as we said, that when you get to this Har Eval, Har Gerizim, these are 2 mountains, one next to the other in Eretz Israel.
Yeah.
So what they have to do is that they have to take 12 tribes, put 6 tribes on one mountain, and 6 tribes on the other mountain. In the middle in the valley, between the mountains, there's going to be the Kohanim and Levim, right? Kohanim and Levim, and they're going to say curses and blessings, right? They're going to point to one side. They're going to look to one side, face to one side and say 6 blessings, and then the other side curses, and those tribes which are standing on that mountain will say Amen, Amen, Amen. Right, six and six. This is the idea, right? This is the story. So what were the curses, and why? Also, question is, what were the curses and blessings that they said, and also why was this done? What's the reason why they did this? Right? The truth is that all these things that it talks about over here, these were already said on Har Sinai. All these mitzvot. So why not to repeat them again and to make curses and blessings like this? For what? What do you need this for? Right? So let's try to explain a little bit, right? What we're talking about here. So it says like this, right? ואלה יעמדו לברך את העם הגרזים בעברכם את הירדן, שמעון, לוי, יהודה, יששכר ויוסף ובנימין. So these 6 tribes are going to be with the blessings, right? Which one? Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, Yisachar, Yosef, and Benjamin. They're going to be side of the blessings. Side of the curses is going to be, right? Reuven, Gad, Asher, Zvulun, Dan, and Naphtali, right? They're going to be side of curses. So what happened was like this, right? That now the Levim and the Kohanim would be in the middle, in the valley, and they would look to one side, point right, to face one side, and say like this. Look what they would say, right? They would say,
Oy, oy, oy.
oh yeah. Arur ha'ish asher yaseh pesel u'masechat to'avat Adonai ma'aseh yedei charash. So the first thing was, cursed is the man who makes an idol, right? Some kind of a statue, to bow down to that, to worship it, this kind of thing, right? Yeah, to be idolater like that, to make a statue. So what does that mean? First they would point to one side with the blessings, and they would say, blessed is the one who does not make something like that, right? These idols. Then they would say, Amen, the whole community, Amen. Then they would look to the other side, they would point right face to the side and tell them, cursed is the one who makes the idols like this, with the statues. And they would say, Amen. That was the first one, right? It went on like the 6 times, right? Let's see what the second one is. Number 2, it sounds like this, right? Right? So what does that mean? Cursed is the one who disgraces his father and mother. This was the second one. First they would say the blessing. Blessed is the one who honors his father and mother. And then they would say, cursed is the one who disgraces his father and mother. That's the idea, right?
Meaning the same thing.
Say it's the same idea, the opposite, right? They're talking about 2 opposites. That's the idea, right?
Agreeing to the same
right,
thing.
Exactly. And they would say, Amen. That's it, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Then they would go on, right? The cursed is the one who steals the border of his fellow. What does that mean? That he moves the border between his house and the property, moves it back to gain some property from him, you know what I mean? Right, to get some, to get some more space to make a barbecue, David, like those people like this, people like this, so they need a bigger backyard, so,
Bigger backyard.
right, cursed is the one. Next, number 3, what does it say? Arur Mashke Iver Baderech Ve'amar Kol Ha'am Amen. Right? This is unbelievable, right? Cursed is the one who misguides the blind, right? In other words, somebody comes in blind and tells you, which way do I have to go to one-way street? You tell, go this way, Queens Boulevard, then you laugh at him. Got you! Right? So is it really talking about that? That's only figurative, right? Really, this is a mashal. So what's the real understanding of this? What that means is that you take somebody who's doing something wrong, and you don't tell him, this is a bad way what you're doing. You don't give him good advice. Exactly, that's the idea, right? That's right? So that's also a person who does that is cursed. What does that mean? He sees somebody in the wrong way in life. Yeah. He doesn't tell him, listen, my friend, I love you, you got to change your ways. This is not the way to go.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
You don't tell him this.
Yeah, you just tell him, oh yeah, that's good. Keep going. Continue. What do I mean continue? Gives them also like encouragement. He gives them a compliment. Oh, you're a good guy. You're such a good guy. What good guy? He's a mafia. He's a gangster. This guy. What are you telling him he's a good guy for?
Are always good guys.
You're misleading him into destruction like that. You understand? This is the idea. So this is the third one, fourth one, and then we go on. Right? We say Aru Mate Mishpat Ger Yatom V'Amana. Cursed is the one who distorts the judgment of the convert and the widow and the orphan, right? In other words, these people are the weak people in society. Mm-hmm. They're insecure. They don't have like a big backbone, big shoulders, these people. They're weak in the society. So therefore, the one who distorts their judgment and, gives them like an unfair judgment, this kind of thing, right? So that person is also cursed. We're talking here about somebody who's a judge, right? Dayan. So he sees somebody like that who's weak, and he makes it even worse for them by giving them unfair judgment because they're weak, they're defenseless, they're helpless. This is the idea, right? This is the next one. So then comes and tells you, by the way, what's the reason why these three are considered to be defenseless and weak? The ger, the convert, and the orphan, and the widow. What's the reason why? Because all these people, the ger, the convert, when he comes to the Jewish people, he doesn't feel confidence. He doesn't have anybody, any family to back him up. He doesn't have anybody to have his back. He feels alone. He feels insecure. So a person like that, like you take advantage of him, and you cheat him, you pull some kind of a scam on him like that. That's the worst thing that person can do. Somebody who's defenseless like that. Same thing, right, with an orphan, right? Somebody who doesn't have parents, and he's growing up by himself, so he's got a hard time in life, He doesn't have anybody to defend him. When you grow up without parents, as an orphan, life is tough, So HaKadosh Baruch Hu, especially, is very sensitive when people, people like deal unfairly with people like this, defenseless people. And also the widow, right? Same thing, right? A woman who has no husband, she feels very weak and defenseless. She doesn't have anybody to defend her, She feels like alone. So because of that, when you go to a widow and you give her a hard time, so, the sin is all the more so greater. That's the idea, right? I saw in one of the books, by the way, it also says something interesting regarding that. You know what it says, right? That a widow, or people like this, right, in general, even if the widow is like, let's say she's a very successful woman, she's like a businesswoman, or she's a politician, she's in Congress, she's a very strong person and very successful, wealthy lady. Nevertheless, they say, that there's some insecurity that they have because they have no husband. Because the husband died. There's something in their hearts still that causes them to be insecure. So therefore, this is the reason why, right, they say that you have to be very careful about these three groups, not to, afflict them. Because they're very insecure, by nature. Even if they're rich and wealthy and they have everything in the world, they have success, they have career, nevertheless they feel insecure, these people.
So don't take advantage of people that are disadvantaged.
That's the idea. Goes on to say, right? Arur shochet im eshet aviv. Right? Cursed is the one who lies with his father's wife, right? Ki gila kanaf aviv. What does that mean? This is like a stepmother, you understand? This is your stepmother. Your father married another woman because your mother, let's say, right, passed away or whatever, God forbid, or or something like that, or got divorced, whatever. So now you have a stepmother. So this guy goes and has an affair with her. So cursed is the one who does a thing like that. Right? So it's like adultery, especially with your father's wife, right? Nothing can be lower than that, right? Nothing can be. That's the idea, right? Okay. So then we go on. We say, right? This is also another one, right? What is that? Cursed is the one who does bestiality, right? Lies with an animal, has relations with an animal.
Goat.
Right? Bestiality. This is actually this kind of vice. It's fairly common in the Goyish world. It's fairly common. So I'll explain to you, right, why these were singled out as the ones that were mentioned and not the other mitzvot. I'll explain to you why, but I just want to finish it off first, right? Also, it says, "Aru shochev imachoto bat aviv bat imo." Also, cursed is the one who has relations with a sister. Incest. Talking about that. Also, that person is cursed. Mm-hmm. Then it goes on to say,
but cousin's okay, right?
You can marry your cousin as long as you get a blood test, right? You gotta get a blood test. Also, it says, right, cursed is the man who has relations with his mother-in-law, right? As we already mentioned before in the former lectures, there's some kind of a attraction there, they say, right? With the son-in-law and the mother-in-law, there's some kind of attraction between them. It's like something in nature, whatever. So that's why a person has to be careful about the mother-in-law. Especially they say the first son-in-law, there's some kind of attraction, the first daughter that gets married, there's some kind of attraction between them. So therefore they say, right, cursed is the one who does this as well. And then, right, what does it say? Arul maker ehu beseter. Right, cursed is the one who hits his fellow in secret, right? He smites his fellow in secret. What is it talking about? How do you hit somebody in secret? So say the Chazal, the Gemara, it's talking here about Lashon Hara, right? Where is it brought down? Pirkei Rabbi Eliezer. It's not the Gemara. Talking about Lashon Hara. What does that mean? You speak things about people, in secret. Nobody knows. This guy, blah, 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 all kinds of things which can damage him. So this is considered to be a cursed person. What does that mean? He doesn't want anybody to know that he said it, so he said it like in a private forum.
So in other words, don't tell nobody.
He whispered it over to some people. Right, exactly, Keep it hush hush.
Right,
Come join us, sit down.
Don't tell nobody.
Keep it hush hush, right? Keep it hush, right? That's the idea. Why is this considered to be, this thing so bad? Because a person has all these sins, you know what they have in common? Why were these singled out?
Adultery and
These are all things which are written in the Torah anyway.
So sex.
It's all the same. So why were these singled out to be now to be recited with a curse and a blessing like this? You know what the reason is? Because these sins, there's a tendency to do them like hush hush. So people think that nobody saw me, so I'll get away with it. So it comes and tells you God, right? Don't think that just because nobody's looking at you, God is looking at you. So wherever you are, He sees what you're doing. You know what I mean? So don't think you can do these like hidden sins like this, under the table, and then you'll get away with it, nothing will happen, nobody knows about it, there was no cameras, right, whatever, I covered the cameras, so there's no witnesses, no nothing, so it comes and tells you, hey, I know what you're doing, right, I know, I'm God, I see everything. What do you think, I don't see what you're doing? So don't try to hide, your things like things like this. That's the idea. And then the last one, right, it says like this, nefesh. Also, cursor is the judge who takes a bribe, in order to distort pervert justice, things like this. You understand? Or to have somebody killed. So this also, right? These things are usually done under the table. The bribe is not taken, in public. It's done under the table.
Personal gain.
So people think, nobody saw me. I'm okay. The judge thinks, nobody knows about it. Yeah. Just me. I got some. Right, I got some whatever.
Which so?
Hillary. Right, Hillary.
Listen, Rabbi. It's not the 20-year-old guy.
So comes and tells you right in the end. After all these curses, comes and tells you the Torah. Now it tells you, cursed is the one who doesn't keep all the Torah. No matter what he doesn't keep, he's cursed. So now it comes and tells you all the mitzvot like that, in a general sense. If you don't keep any of the mitzvot, it's still considered to be a curse. You understand? So, if he wanted to say all the mitzvot in one shot, why did he single out? As we said, we already mentioned why he singled out these. But there's also another question, which is, right? Why did he have to go over these things? We already accepted the Torah on Har Sinai, on Mount Sinai. So why not do again this ceremony? To
it's another generation.
Understand? It's true what you're saying, but it's very true.
Are you going to accept what they accept?
That's very true what you're saying. Yes, I respect this thesis of yours, theory of yours, right? But also there's another point to be made, which is that they say that even though they accepted the Torah, but here there was an additional element put on them. What does that mean? There was an oath. This was like under oath they were accepting Torah, and also curse. So you should know, not only you accepted the Torah, but you have also under oath and under curse if you don't keep the Torah. This is the idea over here. You know what I mean? So it's adding a more element of enforcement. I
swear to God.
Yeah, that's the way it is. Right? You're under oath, and there's a curse involved. So don't think, just like, it's like optional, something. Oh yeah, if I want, I'll keep it. If I'm interested. What do you mean you're interested? What do you mean interested? This is not optional. The Torah is not an optional Torah. Right? Everything is obligatory, and there's also consequences. That's the idea, right? This is the reason why he added this element over here. Very good. So now it comes and tells you the Torah a different element, right? Which is what? That now brings the curses again, which were already stated in the Parashat V'chukotai, in Vayikra, Leviticus. There was over there many curses recited if a person doesn't keep the Torah. So here it comes and says the curses again. Again, right? So what does that mean? Again, as you said, this is a different generation, right? This is also to make this point now like very, very strong. Why? Because Moshe Rabbeinu was not going to die this day, right? So that means that they have to know that there's a continuum over here. The mitzvah is continual; it's forever, right? It's everlasting. It's not something which just ceases, because Moshe Rabbeinu is not going to be around. You should know.
Forever.
Usually there's going to be consequences also after Moshe Rabbeinu. That's the idea, right? So you should know, right, that there's no way, so it comes and tells you all again, right? First of all, it tells you the blessings. What does that mean? That if you keep the Torah, everything will be good in your life. You'll be rich, wealthy, happy. All the good things in life will be good for you. But if you don't keep the Torah, so then comes and tells you, right? If you don't keep it, then you get this, another one punishment. If you still go on, another punishment, right? Then this punishment, then that punishment goes on, right? Endless array of punishments, one after the other.
Snowballing.
Boom, 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 like the boxing, 15 rounds. Chach, 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 chach. Right? That's the idea, right? So, what there's also a moral, like a lesson over here to learn from all these curses. You know what it is? The lesson is what it says in the prophet. The prophet says that the Jewish people, whether they want to keep the Torah or not, Kadosh Baruch Hu will rule over them by force, no matter what. If you try to run away, it'll catch up with you. There's no way to run. There's nowhere. Exactly. There's nowhere to run. What does that mean? That the Kadosh Baruch Hu doesn't let the Jew just run off.
Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide.
Yeah, I'll run. I'll go to this country. I'll go to that country. I'll run from God. Go away. There's no way you can run to. Even if you leave and go to a different country, He'll get you over there also.
I know everything.
You understand? That's the idea. So a person has to know, right, that Kadosh Baruch Hu to put us over here into a covenant, into a brit, into a curse, into oath. So it's telling you, listen, there's nowhere to run. There was no way to hide. Don't try to outsmart me. Don't try to run off.
I swear to God.
Wherever you go, I'll catch you.
I swear to God.
This is the
Sweating no good? Sweat is not.
Yeah,
I don't swear.
This is the story of
an oath is a swear. I'm not talking about cursing.
this is the story of Yonah Navi, the prophet Yonah. They say, right, we read this on Yom Kippur, right? This Haftarah, the book of Yonah. What does it talk about over there? The Kadosh Baruch Hu told to Yonah to do some things, and Yonah didn't want to do these things. He felt that it was going to cause harm to the Jewish people, so he tried to run off, to run out. What did he do? He took a ship, and he sailed away to a different country. That's what he did, So what did HaKadosh Baruch Hu do? Right? He says, you're my prophet. You try to run off from me? From my commandments? What, you think you're smarter than me? You think I can't catch you over there in the sea? So what did he do? That boat that went out, right, to sail, what happened was that there was a storm, that came up. A huge storm, like hurricane, all kinds of things like this. And the ship was about to sink. This is the story of Yonah, right? If you look in the book of Yonah, that's what it talks about, right?
Say uncle.
Jonah, right? Jonah.
Say uncle. All right. Basically.
Uncle Yonah.
That's what you're going to say.
Whatever, okay. So that's the idea, right? So what happened was a storm, was like hitting the boat, and they tried to go back ashore, to go back, but they couldn't. The storm wouldn't let them. So it's pounding them. So each one is like, praying to his God. There was like different nations over there, different nationalities. We have this guy from Portugal, from Spain, from France, this, that, whatever. Each one, brings out his idol. Starts praying to his idol. Whatever. So the storm will not subside. So what happened was that Yonah, right, with all the storm was going on, what happened was he went down, into the deck, and he fell asleep. He was asleep, So they came, the captain of the ship came and woke up Yonah. He says, "Wake up!" He says, "What are you doing?" He says, "You're sleeping? We're about to die over here." He says, "Come and get up and pray to your God. Maybe your God will save us."
Help.
You know what I mean? So he starts to look around. So he realized what happened, right? Yonah, he realized that the reason why this was going on is because of him. Right? The Kadosh Baruch Hu was telling him, "What are you trying to run off from me? Where are you going to run? I'm going to get you. What do you think, in the sea I can't get you when you're sailing around?" So what happened was, right, that he told the captain. He said, he says, "Let me tell you the truth." He says, "This is because of me, the storm." So he says, "If you want the storm to subside, you have to throw me off the boat." He says, "Throw me out. Eject me from the boat, from the ship." So the captain tells him, he says, "How can I do that?" He says, I'm not going to kill somebody like that. So I feel sorry for you. I can't do that to you. So he tells him, he says, "No." He says, "Don't feel sorry for me." He says, "It's my fault. I'm the culprit over here."
You'll be saved.
So what they did, right? The Midrash says that in order to test out if this was true, they took his body, right, like this, and they said, let's test it out. Let's say if we tilt your body over, right, overboard, just as if we're going to throw you over, let's see what happens, right? So once they tilted his body over, the storm will stop. They said they would stop, right? So they would bring him back, start again, right? Again, they would tilt the body, they would stop like this every time. So then they realized it was true. It was because of him. Understand? So what happened was that they said, we're sorry. We have no choice. We got to throw you over.
The sharks are gonna get you, boy.
Can you imagine? So what do? They threw him over like that. You understand? So once they threw him over, what happened? Came one big fish, right, and swallowed him.
Oh.
He was swallowed by a fish. Who brought this fish? HaKadosh Baruch Hu brought him a fish to swallow. In order he should be saved, in order to save his life. And this fish went and he brought him back to shore. So what does that mean? HaKadosh Baruch Hu told Yonah, so what are you trying to escape from me? He said, I have my messengers everywhere. You trying to run away from me?
Get back over there.
Get back to where you belong. Right? That's the idea, So this is exactly what the prophet tells you, right? The prophet tells you that no matter what you do, the HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right, in the end of days, he'll force all the Jews to do tshuva, no matter what. He won't allow them to escape like that, to run off. Don't try to run away, There's no way. You're part of the covenant. You were in this covenant. You're a Jew. You're part of this covenant. There's no way you can run. This is exactly what it says in Pirkei Avot, by the way. It says in Pirkei Avot something amazing, right? This says Pirkei Avot, you shouldn't think that the grave is going to save you from punishment. What does that mean? Once you die, that's it, right? It's over. He can punish you over here. Once you're in the grave, you'll be resting. Rest in peace. R.I.P. That's the idea. You understand? So comes and tells you, Pirkei Avot, no. He says it's not going to be. You're not going to be R.I.P. over there. There's no RIP for you.
It's not finished yet.
You're going to be punished over there in Gainam, Jojocheti, there's no kinds of things.
The worms are going to eat you.
You're right. The worms are going to eat you, and you're going to go to purgatory, or you're going to be burned over there, and there's nothing's going to save you.
Meet Satan.
Death. That's it. So death will not save you. You understand? Death will not save you. Don't think that death will save you from punishment. You're going to be punished also in the world to come as well. You understand? So this is exactly what it tells you. So it tells you Pirkei Avot, don't try to run away. Why? Because it says, against your will, you're brought to this world, to live in this world. You know what they say, right? They say that when a person comes to this world, the neshama, the soul is in Gan Eden over there, right? So he doesn't want to come to this world. They tell him, they say, go. They tell him, go. He says, no, I don't want to go to this world. I want to stay in Gan Eden, They push him, they force him, They force him to go. He doesn't want to go. Because this world is very dirty, It's over there, it's very clean and beautiful, it's holy, in the light of God.
What do you mean, above the
So the neshama doesn't want to come to this world. He doesn't want to come. This is a very filthy world, right? It's how it is, right? There's a rat race over here. Right? You know what it is? So, doesn't want to come. So, tells you Pirkei Avot, you're going to be forced to come to this world. And then when you're born, you're going to be forced to live in this world. And everything you do is going to be judged, whether you like it or not.
And you can't leave.
There's no way you can go.
But there's
right?
behavior, right?
Yeah, there's no way to escape.
Oh, the firmament is that you can't leave.
That's the idea, right? Also, when you die, you'll be judged. No way to escape that. You cannot be escaped by going to the grave. And then, right after you're judged, you're going to be also in the judge in the world to come and everything. So everything is against your will. There's no choice. You must follow the program, This is not optional, the program. It's obligatory.
It's an obligation.
Exactly. This is the idea, right? A person has to understand that. So this is exactly what these curses are telling you over here. These curses are telling you, Kadosh Baruch Hu says, you know what? If you don't follow me, I'll give you this punishment. If you don't follow me, I'll give you another one. Another one. I won't give up until I break you. There's nowhere to run. You're a part of my covenant. You're a chosen people. I'm not going to let you off. I'm not going to let you slide. There's no way to run. That's the idea. So this is what the curses are trying to tell you, But they say also something very interesting, that these curses were, as we said, right, they were already said basically before in Leviticus and Vaikra, Bechukotai, over there. So why does it say them again? As we already mentioned why, but there's also the issue here that there are some differences here. They say the first curses were uttered by God himself. They came from the words of God. These curses were uttered by Moshe Rabbeinu. He went over them from his own volition. So he changed a few things over here, right? One of the things they changed, they say, is that the first curses were said like in a plural form, as a whole nation. You as a nation, These curses were said in a singular. In other words, you as a person, as an individual Jew. So it's a little bit different, you know what I mean? It's a little bit different concept. So what does that mean? Whether you take the nation as a whole, or whether you take a Jew as an individual, it still applies everything. You shouldn't think, right, it's only as a nation, it's only as an individual. No, it applies on both ways. As a nation or also as an individual. That's the idea, right? So whatever you try to do, there's no escape. You understand? So they say, by the way, regarding this, in the Zohar Kadosh and also other locations, they say that when HaKadosh Baruch Hu brings Mashiach, right? So what's going to be is that there's still going to be many Jews who didn't do tshuva. You know? So what he's going to do with those Jews who didn't do tshuva, he's going to take them out to the desert, to the wilderness, just like he did the Jews from Egypt. And he's going to rule over them with fury over there until they did tshuva, force them to do tshuva. Bend their arm, can you imagine? Put them into a headlock like this. No, come on. You're going to do tshuva or not? What does that mean? That in the end, he's going to force everybody to do tshuva, no matter what. Nobody's going to escape. What does that mean? There are even people, by the way, who are Jewish, they don't even know they're Jewish. They say there's many people in Russia like that. The Rabbi, he said there's like millions of Jews in Russia, they don't know that they're Jewish because of intermarriage, assimilation. Also in Germany, also in Spain, by the way, there's many people like that. Maranos, all these there are many, many people in the world who don't know they're Jewish. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to remove every one of them from the nations and tell them, listen, you're a Jew. You want to keep the Torah? No? I'll take you out to the desert. We'll talk over there. I have an appointment with you. I'm gonna, right? You understand? That's what's gonna be. He's gonna force him to do tshuva, no matter what. This is the destiny of the Jewish people. Destiny of the Jewish people is everybody's gonna do tshuva. You like it, you don't like it, you agree with it, you don't agree with it, doesn't make any difference. That's the program. So this is really the program over here. Understand? This is the idea. No matter what, you're still a part of the Jewish people. No matter what you do, I'll still take you back. I'll break you and I'll take you back. No matter what happens. Nothing will exempt you. Kadosh Baruch Hu doesn't let anybody go. This is an unbelievable thing, right? It's unreal. Okay, so one of the interesting things I want to tell you about also, that one of the punishments that talks about over here, there's also physical punishment, which is very, very severe. I don't even want to mention it, right? I don't want to scare you, but there's also there's also a psychological element over here. What does that mean? It says, right, if you don't keep the Torah, if you don't study the Torah as well, there's two elements over here, right? You have to study the Torah, you have to also keep the Torah. Both of these elements are required. And also, you have to be consistent with that. What does that mean? One of the things that Kadosh Baruch Hu doesn't like, you know what it is? A person is not consistent with Torah and Mitzvot. What does that mean? One day I do it, one day I don't. One day I put tefillin, one day I don't put tefillin. One day I learn Torah, one day I don't learn Torah. This is like haphazard, Judaism. It's not a joke, exactly. A person has to be consistent, So a person gets punished for that too, being haphazard, with Judaism, not being serious. One day yes, one day no, I don't feel good, I don't feel, this kind of,
If you're going to say
not serious like that.
Good, definitely you're going to not feel good.
That's for sure. That's for sure.
Better to do it.
That's the idea, right? So this is what we're talking about. That, but really, one of the punishments was interesting, right? It says that if you don't keep the Torah, so what's going to be the punishment? What does this mean? Shigaon. It means you're going to go nuts. You're going to go crazy. Shigaon means crazy. Meshuga. Timhon levav also means a person who was, is psychologically not well. So what does that mean? That one of the punishments really, the person who doesn't keep the Torah, is psychologically it also damages him as well. We always talk with David, about people, when we were kids, this one's disturbed, this one's disturbed. There are people who are disturbed, and some of them are born that way, okay? But the truth is, some of them, they caused it on themselves by not keeping the Torah, not keeping the mitzvot. It causes also a psychological disturbance as well. This is one of the consequences of not keeping the Torah. So a person should know, if you want to be psychologically healthy, instead of going to your shrink, a psychologist, and sitting there, and talking to him about all kinds of nonsense, and he's taking $100 an hour, $500 an hour from you, right? Much better solution to that. You know what it is? Keep the Torah. If you keep the Torah, you won't need to go to a shrink. You won't need to go to a psychiatrist. You don't need a psychologist. Yeah. HaKadosh Baruch Hu will keep you healthy, your mind healthy as well. That's the idea, right? So, mental disease, this, comes also from not keeping the Torah. That's what we're trying to tell you. Understand? A person should know that if he's, you see a person, he doesn't behave normal. He's very nervous, very edgy, all the time screaming, yelling, abusive personality. This is because he doesn't keep the Torah. This is the reason why people get these cruel tendencies, in their personality, because of they don't keep the Torah. So, also one of the consequences of not keeping the Torah, lo aleinu, is that a person loses his mind, he goes out of his mind. This is also one of the things. You understand? Okay, so I want to get that cleared up. So then, right, to go on a little bit, to mention also a couple of other elements over here.
He's dreaming about getting thrown off the boat.
So it comes and tells you, right, Moshe Rabbeinu in the end of this parasha. It says, ולא נתן אדוני לכם לב לדעת ועיניים לראות ואוזניים לשמוע עד היום הזה. So he says, you know what, Hashem didn't give you the proper understanding of the Torah until this day. Meaning what? Now you really understand what the Torah is about, the depths of the Torah. You really understand the whole picture. You got the whole picture now. Comprehensive knowledge. Why now? Only now. They were already 40 years ago they accepted the Torah, right? Until this day, 40 years. The time they took the Torah. So why only now, this day? Now they understand the Torah? Before they don't understand nothing? So the Chazal learned from here, by the way, interesting concept in Torah. You know what that is? They say that a person doesn't understand the words of his rabbi. It takes him 40 years to understand the words of his rabbi. Can you imagine?
I'll be dead by then.
Because Moshe Rabbeinu, I'm sorry, yeah.
Wasn't it the last time when he threatened the people? He said, if you don't want to accept it, God will kill and annihilate all of us. He said he'll kill all of you, and that's the people were forced to accept it.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
It's true what you're saying. They were somewhat the oral Torah. They didn't want to accept.
Yes.
You know, Zepei Torah. Yeah, that's true. So now it comes and tells you that what Chazal say from here you learn that a person doesn't understand the words of his rabbi for 40 years. So what does that mean? That you should know that your rabbi, you know, if he's really a rabbi, you know, not a business guy, you know, one of these business rabbis. I'm not talking about that. He's really a Talmid Chacham. He has a lot of depth in his wisdom that you don't understand. He's been learning Torah for many, many years already. You know? So when you hear something from him, it may sound to you a little bit, you know, silly, you know? What is the rabbi talking about? You know, I don't understand what he's talking about. You know? It sounds ridiculous. I mean, you don't understand the depths of those words. It takes you 40 years to understand. Can you imagine? To understand. Sometimes a person, in other words, will hear from his rabbi something, and then 40 years later, he'll say, oh, now I see what he's talking about. You know, before I couldn't understand. So you see from there, right? Chazal also learned from here another interesting point. That they say that the age of Binah is 40. The age of understanding is 40 years old. What does that mean? That a person doesn't reach, in other words, even if he's studying Torah from the time he was an infant, you know, as a child, he doesn't really understand the Torah until he reaches 40 years old. That's the time where he starts to understand really the Torah. Before that, it's just like he's gathering knowledge. He doesn't have a full picture yet of the Torah. You know? So what does that mean? That they say that a person shouldn't render decisions in halakha until he's 40 years old because of that. Because once he reaches the age of 40, now he's at the age of binah, understanding. He understands the Torah. So it takes a long time to internalize, you know, the Torah. These are very deep things in the Torah. Things are very, very deep. So what does that mean? A person who doesn't understand the words of the Torah, they shouldn't mock them, you know, and say, oh, you know, what is that talking about? You know, it sounds ridiculous. Wait, one day you will understand, you know. Give it some time. It has to go inside of you, you know, permeate inside. That's the idea, right? So a person has to know that understanding takes a long time. They say that 40 years takes age of Binah. What does that mean? To understand the Torah, to really understand. What about 50? So there, it's the age of Etzah, right? What does Etzah mean? To give counsel. A person who can give you advice, you know, like deep advice about something, you have a problem. You know, when he's 50 years old, he becomes able to do that. Right? He gets in a higher level of Torah. He can give counsel to people. Right? So as you get older, you know, your wisdom becomes better. You know what the Chazal say, right? Divrei Torah tzechim zeh. You know what that means? They say don't learn Torah from younger people, from the young rabbis. Learn from the older rabbis. You know why? Because the younger rabbis don't understand yet the full picture of the Torah. They're still picking up information. They don't have the full picture. You know why? Because the Torah, to understand the whole Torah, you need to understand all the facets of the Torah. This section, that section, this part, that part. There's many facets to the Torah. There's many sections, right? A person who doesn't have the whole picture, he doesn't understand yet the whole idea. So therefore, if you ask him a question, he still can't answer you the best way, you know? He's still not capable of doing that. So therefore they say, right, if you want to get the best advice in Torah, go to the elders, you know, the ones who are older. 40 years old, 50 years old, and and above that. That's the idea, right? Don't go to those young guys with the black hair, those raven-looking guys, right? Those guys. Those guys don't know yet. They don't have the full knowledge of Torah yet. They don't have the whole idea. They say, by the way, the Chazal, that if you have a problem in your life, you have a dilemma or issue or something like that, if you go to the elders, the older rabbis who are experienced and knowledgeable, you'll never go wrong in your life. Everything you'll do will be right. So that's why a person, it says in Pirkei Avot, right? Aseh lecharab. A person has to have a rabbi, Every Jew is obligated to have a rabbi that he consults with in matters of religion, halakha, all kinds of things like this. So what does that mean? Make yourself a rabbi, but a rabbi who's, already distinguished as a rabbi, not just some newcomer, just came into the yeshiva for 5 years, now he thinks he's a big, big shot. Anyway, you have to know. Everybody has to know their place, right? That's the idea, right? So it takes what we learn from here. It takes 40 years for a person to understand the words of his rabbi. That's what they say, right? Unbelievable. Okay, so then it goes on to say, right, another interesting point over here. והולך אתכם 40 שנה במדבר, לא בלו שמלותיכם, מעליכם ונעלך לא בלתה, מעל רגליך, לחם לא אכלתם, יין ושיכר לא שתיתם, למען תדעו כי אני אדוני אלוהיכם. So it says, I took you 40 years in the desert, HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells the Jewish people, right? You were not buying any new clothes, right? No new shoes. Nothing was being worn out.
No bread.
You have the same, right? You ate no bread. You were eating only the man, right, from the sky. That's the idea. So what does that mean? Why did I do all this for you? To give you the supernatural life like that in the desert. To show you that it's all up to God, You shouldn't think that it's up to you or whatever, God can give you everything that you need. You don't need to go out of your way, to make a special effort. As long as you're keeping the will of God, you're keeping the will of Hashem, Hashem will provide you with everything. This is to train you, to understand, right? The person has to have faith in God. You know what I mean? He has to have faith. They say, by the way, just to bear this out this point, what they say, right? Chazal. They said that a person who says like this, right? What will I eat tomorrow? This is considered to be a person who lacks faith. What does that mean? He's worried about, will I have food tomorrow to eat? What's going to be tomorrow? Okay, today I had dinner, I had pizza today, 2 slices of pizza. What's going to be tomorrow? They say a person who says this kind of question, he has no faith in God. He's lacking faith. What do you think? What? For 40 years you've been alive, 50 years you've been eating. So what makes you think tomorrow you won't have food? All your life you've had food, no? So now all of a sudden you think you're not going to have food? A person like that has a problem in faith. Think this kind of thoughts. What's going to be tomorrow? What am I going to eat tomorrow? What do you mean what are you going to eat tomorrow? Right?
No food on the shelf. Right?
That's right, right? We say in the Birkat Hamazon, when we say Birkat Hamazon, the grace after meals, Ki zanu farnes hakol. He provides for everybody, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Right? Potech et yadecha u'masbiach l'chol chayratzon. The pasuk says, right? David HaMelech tells you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu opens his hands and feeds everybody. Even the wicked, by the way, right? The wicked also eating. They're eating pretty good. They're ashamed. No, they have problem. Right? They have no problem.
Kosher food.
Everybody's eating every day. You know what I mean? So
The best.
So what do you think? What today you have food, tomorrow you're not going to have food. There's a problem with your faith, You're so worried about tomorrow. What's going to be tomorrow? What do you think is going to be tomorrow? What do you think is going to be? Tomorrow there's not going to be any food. That's ridiculous, right? A person has to understand that.
You may be homeless tomorrow in New York.
Some people they start shopping Monday and they say this for Shabbat, Tuesday this for Shabbat. Am I right?
Yeah.
Some people they shopping for Shabbos.
Well, I told Joanne yesterday in Duncan, we know old. She's not that old, but she's homeless. And I never knew that most homeless people have an income. Homeless people have an income.
Yeah, they get Social Security or whatever.
But she doesn't have enough money for it, so I told her, "You're never going to be hungry. So,
At least you're going to be
food. You'll always have."
Okay, so I want to make just one more point right over here, and we'll stop. So it talks here about also that they came to recaps the history. But Tavo el makom hazeh vayetze Sichon melech Heshbon ve'og ben Habashan nikatenu le'milchama v'nakem. So he says, what do you think? HaKadosh Baruch Hu also he's trying to assuage their fears. You know why? Because they were going now to Eretz Canaan. There was going to be 31 kings over there they have to battle with. This is a big battle. 31 kings. It's considered to be like a big war. So the Jews were like, a little bit apprehensive about that. Scared. What's going to be? How are we going to defeat these kings? What are we going to do? What kind of war are we going to make to defeat them? They're so powerful. So therefore, Moshe Rabbeinu mentioned over here, right? We already smote those two big kings. Don't you remember? Sichon and Og, who were on the Transjordan over here on the eastern bank, right? In the East Bank. We smote them. So we had no problem with them. So he tells them, so if we had no problem with them, you should know we're not going to have any problem with anybody. Why did he use them as an example? You know why? Because they say, right, that these two kings, Sichon and Og, they were very powerful kings, with very powerful kingdoms, these two. They were the ones who were appointed. What was their job, by the way? Why were they put over there in the Transjordan to be there? Because those 31 kings wanted to have like a defense shield around them. So they put those two kings to be a defense shield for them. They were the ones who trying to defend them. You understand? They were being paid for. They were being paid for that. They're getting every year money to defend those 31 kings, that nobody should attack them. So this was their defense shield. So what does that mean? Moshe Rabbeinu told them, if we were able to knock out their defense shield like that, all the more so we'll knock them out. No problem, right? No question about that. Why is it, by the way, that these were they say, right, that these two, Sichon and Og, first of all, they were brothers. It says in the Gemara, right?
Were they gods?
And also says in the Midrash, close but no cigar. I'll explain to you what that means, right? We'll end it up with here. What does that mean? That these two were giants, they say, right? Sichon and Og were giants. They were like up to the 10th story, like one of these apartment buildings in Regal Park. That's how tall they were, these guys. These were giants. Why were they giants, by the way? Why were there giants in that generation? You know why? So they say, right, that these two, Og and Sichon, they were the sons of one of the fallen angels. Exactly what you said, right? There were some fallen angels that fell out of Shamayim. It's a whole story. We're not going to get into that now. But the point was that these were, because of that, they were giants. They came out like giants. So to defeat this nation, and also their populace as well, were also very powerful. They say, right, that Sichon was a king of Amori, the Amorites. And the Amorites were even more powerful than the Jews. They were even stronger than the Jews, physically speaking. Very powerful people.
Fighters.
Nobody was stronger than them in the whole world.
Armies.
The most powerful race. In terms of the race. The Amorites. So they say they were the most powerful people in the world. Nobody powerful like them. Nevertheless, HaKadosh Baruch Hu defeated them. For the Jews like nothing. Right? Sichon and Og, even though they were giants. And even though their populace, their people were very, very powerful, so Moshe Rabbeinu is trying to assuage their fears. But tell them, don't be afraid. If we were able to defeat them, all the more so, right? They were the defense shield of these people, right? All the more so we can defeat these people who are not as strong as them. That's the idea. So there's nothing to worry about. So what does that mean? A person, when you go out to war, same thing, right? Just like in Parashat. What am I going to eat tomorrow? A person has to have, faith in Hashem. Don't worry, you have what to eat tomorrow. Nothing is going to happen tomorrow. Just be a human being. That's all. Be a Jew. Be a good Jew. That's all. Nothing else you need to do. Same thing when it comes to the wars, right? When you go out to war, you have to have faith in Hashem. Hashem is with you, so go out and fight. Don't be scared. Start crying. Getting those droopy knees. They say, right?
Get with it.
What happens in his pants, right? He goes in his pants, right? A person like that shouldn't be like that. That's the idea, right? Person has to. When you go out to war, you have to have faith in Hashem. Just like he defeated these nations, he's also going to defeat the other nations. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to defeat all the nations with the coming of Mashiach, and we're going to have the kingdom of Israel rising and going to the top. Amen, amen. Thanks for coming. Chazak Baruch.
That's it.
Skira mitzvot. Baruch Adonai le'olam. Amen, amen. You should have all the blessings. A great, new, healthy, and happy new year. B'ezrat Hashem. With good parnasah, good health, and everything good for all the people who are watching us also.
What day is the holiday?
The holiday is going to start